Hello Power Rangers Lightning Collection fans, and welcome back to Lightning Storm, the series where lightning always strikes twice as we talk about everything that has happened in the past week for the Power Rangers Lightning Collection. Not a ton to talk about here this week, which is perfectly fine. Some weeks are going to be like that, but we still have some interesting things to discuss nonetheless, so let's go and get right on into it. But also, hopefully the rain in the background is not that annoying. I don't think it's that annoying, because it was raining pretty heavily like a minute ago, and I gotta get this done, so if you hear some rain, I guess it's fitting for a lightning storm. So to kick off the week here, we have Invisible Phantom Ranger. So last weekend we talked about how the UK retailer Comics and Cocktails said that they were going to be getting this figure in within the last week of February, the first weekend of March, so basically just this past week here, it was going to finally be in stock, and I think that happened with that particular store. However, In Demand Toys in the UK also got Invisible Phantom Ranger, and regardless of what store it came from, multiple stores did start shipping them out, or at least multiple people did start getting them in the UK this past week. So we already have a review out there from Lightning Collector 2021. I'm going to leave a link to that in the description below. If you'd like to check out all the details for this still yet to be announced figure, it's out there. We can see the full details of it now, all the effect pieces that it comes with, how that translucent plastic kind of goes against different lighting, how it kind of works with that sort of thing. It does actually appear that it has the whole little chest hole piece for the kind of the Power Ruby effect piece like the original one had. We kind of thought maybe because some of the promo shots last weekend that it might not have had that piece, or it might have covered that little hole up. It does not look like that's the case. I think it's just kind of the translucentness of the, I guess, rubbery material, because I don't think the chest is, well, it is a plastic, but like it's a different kind of material than the rest of the figure, so I think that kind of thing makes it look a little bit like the hole's not there, but it does appear to be there from the reviews that we've seen, and I think this figure looks pretty cool. Hopefully they reveal it soon so we know exactly how it's being released and when it's being released in the US, but if you'd like to check it out, there's a bunch of UK reviewers out there who have already posted all of their stuff about it. Next up for this week, we have Hasbro Pulse information to talk about for pretty much every version of Hasbro Pulse. So we're going to go ahead and start with Hasbro Pulse US, where the Tenga Warrior 2-pack is currently in stock. So at the time of me making this video, I have not seen any actual in-hand photos of the Tenga Warrior 2-pack set, but it is in stock on Hasbro Pulse US, which does back up what happened last weekend when Big Bad Toy Store started sending out those emails saying, order processing soon or shipping soon for the Tenga Warrior 2-pack, so we knew that a release of this was going to be happening a lot sooner than the June 1st pre-order date that we had for it ever since this past January. This set is also currently in stock on Hasbro Pulse UK as well, which was kind of the first place besides the Big Bad Toy Store emails to say, hey, this order is going to be shipping out here pretty soon, or it's going to be in stock soon, or whatever it may be. So I don't know if the set is just not that popular, though I think that's probably the case, as to why we maybe haven't seen some actual in-hand photos yet. Then again, Pulse might have just started shipping them out, and sometimes Pulse can take a second on actually getting orders out the door, so that can also be part of the reason why we haven't seen in-hand photos of this. But I definitely would imagine within the next week or so we'll get some photos of it, and maybe some other stores like Big Bad Toy Store will actually have it in stock. I'm sure Entertainment Earth will probably get it soon. GameStop is probably going to get it relatively early as well, maybe, even though GameStop actually hasn't been getting a lot of stuff more recently. So we have no idea what's up with that one, even though they're probably about to get a bunch of exclusives here, whatever they announce some figures they still need to talk about. But the Tenga Warrior 2-pack, basically, it's in stock on Hasbro Pulse, and you can get it in the US or in the UK. So sticking with Hasbro Pulse for the next story, we have Hasbro Pulse EU updates, or Hasbro Pulse Europe updates. So Hasbro Pulse Europe has delayed the Alien Ranger 5-pack from a March 1st release to a May 15th release. So I kind of forgot that the Alien Ranger set was, even though it's always been a June 1st for US Amazon and US Hasbro Pulse, it was always kind of listed a lot earlier than that, a March 1st release for the UK and for the EU. So it was definitely very interesting to see that that was possibly going to be coming out 3 months in advance. I would still expect these other territories to get this first, but if you were kind of thinking we were going to get it so soon, it does not seem like that's going to be the case, which is unfortunate because this is definitely one of my most anticipated Lightning Collection releases over the next couple of months, and I was kind of looking forward to seeing some UK reviews or Europe reviews or photos or whatever it may be of the set a little early, but I'm sure we'll probably still get some of those early, but it's for the most part going to be May or June that we actually get this set out in most places. But speaking of release dates moving around, the Astra Megazord has actually moved up on Hasbro Pulse EU. So this actually was moving up from April 1st, which is what it's still currently listed at on pretty much any other retailer that's going to sell it, like Hasbro Pulse US, to a March 6th release date on Hasbro Pulse EU. So that's basically going to be about a month earlier for that set, which makes perfect sense, especially when we saw the whole live unboxing of it at the fan stream back in January. This thing looked pretty solidly done, besides some of like the printing on the tissue paper bags inside and stuff like that. So we knew that this was probably going to be out pretty soon, although it's definitely sticking close to the April 1st like street date or release that they've had for it ever since last year's PulseCon, so that actually was a pretty true release date in the grand scheme of Hasbro Lightning Collection release dates that we've had over the last couple of years, months, whatever it may be. So I'm sure we're going to actually see the Astra Megazord here pretty soon. Very, very excited to see this one. It's definitely one of my most anticipated releases, like the Alien Ranger 5-pack. But then again, there's a huge bias for this one for me, because this is my favorite Megazord of all time, so I'm definitely very excited to see this one once we start seeing all the in-hand photos of it and everything. And hopefully it stays pretty close to that April 1st release date for here, because I really do want this. This week also saw a number of new releases at Target stores, so a lot of the more recent online and stock stuff, so Wave 13 from the last couple of months, but especially Deluxe Wave 3, which is still pretty relatively new for online retailers to even have now started to appear at Target stores. So I've actually seen a lot of reports of Wave 13 and Deluxe Wave 3 being found at Targets across the US. So that's pretty cool. I mean, granted, you still can't see what's in these boxes, so it's not going to save you from still having the quality control problems. I've actually been seeing a lot of broken Blue Centurions this past week, actually, where he's snapping right at the leg joint, so that's pretty cool. So we can add that to the whole list of problems with that particular figure. But at the very least, if you'd like to get these in person and not have to wait for like online shipping and stuff like that, Target's going to be your place to get them for Wave 13 and Deluxe Wave 3, which are now being found in stores. And then finally for this week, we have Wild Force Red Battlizer. So yeah, Wild Force Red, the figure that I leaked like a little over a year and a half ago, back in 2021. The last figure that we have not seen from this original leak picture that I posted in September of 2021 was never going to have a vehicle with it. So I can finally talk about this here now, now that the Illuminati has posted their exclusive report on it earlier this past week, as well as citing me in it, which I definitely do appreciate, because I work with the guys over there on Illuminati on a bunch of different articles and stuff like that, so it's nice that, you know, we can help each other out and collab on things. And yeah, they posted, which I didn't know they were going to post this article, but I'm happy I can now help back it up. Yes, Wild Force Red is coming to the Lightning Collection with his Battlizer. So when I originally leaked this thing, and I put out a little post right here, which I'll put up on screen for like a second, but I'm pretty much just going to reiterate exactly what I said in this post and kind of expand on that here right now. Basically, when I originally leaked Wild Force Red back in 2021, I was under the assumption, because of what I was told, that he was going to have a vehicle with him. Now, the whole reason why that night that I posted the first 3 Deluxe Wave figures, you know, the ones that have definitely changed a little bit and were not 100% accurate, those ones I had posted just with a little like plus vehicle emoji, or plus I put like a bicycle to represent vehicle. So back then, I was literally just told Ranger color, like name, you know, I was told like Wild Force Red plus vehicle, or In Space Blue plus vehicle, and like at the time, I didn't know that that was like specifically a Galaxy Glider for like In Space Blue. You know, that definitely could have been, and was, you know, rightfully so, assumed to be one. So for Wild Force Red, when I was just told Wild Force Red plus vehicle, I wasn't sure if that was going to be the Wild Force Rider, if that was going to be the Savage Cycle, what exactly that was going to be, which is why I never said what vehicle that it was. Cut to about a year ago or so, I was told that this was actually never going to have, or not going to have, a vehicle with him. Instead, this was going to be our first Battlizer figure in the Lightning Collection, which I think was really, really cool. Now, at the time, I was asked to, and up to at least right now, when Illuminati's went ahead and put their article out, I was told to not share that information because of the fact that basically my source who had heard about this figure had heard about it a very long time ago, and it didn't seem like there was a lot of development still going on with it. If you remember, the Deluxe Waves have shifted all over the place here. The only one that's actually been exactly what I was expecting it to be was Wave 1. Everything else after that has either changed a color that I thought it was going to be, or it's changed the lineup of who it was going to be, or they've changed like the waves around. Like we know from listings and stuff like that, that what became Wave 2 was supposed to be Wave 3. What was supposed to be Wave 2 originally was Wild Force Red with his Battlizer, plus Mighty Morphin Minotaur, the next monster release. Now, at this current time, I'm still very confident that Mighty Morphin Minotaur is actually getting a release. He's already been teased to be being resurrected in the Once and Always special that's coming out next month, and it just kind of seems like there's a lot of things going for him that I kind of heard about that do imply that he is actually still going to get a release. As for Wild Force Red with the Battlizer, while I'm not going to say that this is not going to happen, because that is what I heard was going to happen, I don't know. I have a lot of difficulty putting like 100% confidence in deluxe leaks because of the fact that the deluxe waves have been so changing and in flux constantly that it's hard to narrow down exactly what they are supposed to be, unlike regular waves. Those are a lot more easier to kind of figure it out, even though those can also become a little muddy sometimes. So the last that I heard, Wild Force Red was a figure that they were working on a long time ago and was either shelved or was stuck in some sort of weird development thing or something. And it doesn't mean that that was canceled or anything. It just seemed like they was maybe not a top priority to be released soon. And now that we have this article from Illuminati, they're claiming that it's going to be coming out later this year. I can't specifically back that part of this up, but I can back up the part that this was always going to be a Battlizer figure without a coal head, which is definitely something that a lot of people are upset about, rightfully so. Is it because of what the actor did in real life with Ricardo Medina Jr. and all that kind of stuff? I hope that's not the reason, because if that is the reason, that would kind of lend some credibility to the idea that certain Ranger actors, if they ever join the Lightning Collection, would not get head sculpts because of certain Ranger actors' different actions in real life. And while I get that standpoint and I get that mentality, I like to separate the character from the actor and would hope that that wouldn't be a reason to not give them an actor likeness head for these figures as they are. But yes, I had heard that there was not going to be a cool head with this figure. Maybe they can justify that by the fact that he's going to have the Battlizer, kind of being like, well, he has all that extra plastic and stuff, so like we just couldn't put in a head. I mean, they wouldn't say that. You know that they would just reveal the figure and they would never comment on the fact that there is no coal head. We've seen this before with other figures that definitely should have had civilian heads and just didn't, that they just never talked about why they didn't have them. So I'm sure that that's how this would go. They just would reveal it and not comment on that. Then we'd be like, oh, there's no head. People would complain. People would say, yeah, it's because of the actor, all that kind of nonsense. Now, would the armor be removable with this figure? That I do not know. So ideally, if like I really want them to dive into Battlizers in the Lightning Collection, I think that that is an excellent idea. But for me, I would personally not want armor to be removable because that's going to make one or both of the armor molds not that great. Because if you have like popping off pieces and everything, then you're going to have this whole thing kind of built to be a gimmick figure in that kind of way, and I think that would kind of hurt the overall look at the Battlizer. And then you would probably still have some kind of pieces that are not detachable, and if that's the case, that's going to hurt the regular looking mode of the Ranger. So in my opinion, for us to get Battlizer figures, I want those to be two completely separate releases. I want regular Rangers, and then I want their Battleized ones, and I have no problem with the Battleized ones being in the deluxe price point. That makes perfect sense for me. That's actually a very good use of the deluxe price point and the deluxe wave idea. Like characters like Blue Centurion, I think that that was another perfect addition for the deluxe line because of the extra sculpting, the extra paint that that one required to kind of really capture the look of that figure. I'm totally good with that. But I also kind of would have wanted a regular Wild Force Red first. I don't mind getting his Battlizer, even though it's a weird one to start with, because you think it would start with like In Space Red or Lost Galaxy Red, you know, the first two Rangers to have Battleizers. You've already done their regular modes. It would kind of made sense to go ahead and do Battleizers for them. But I'm fine with starting with Wild Force. Hopefully we can get an actual Wild Force Red figure, a regular one, later on. And who knows exactly what's going on with this whole thing. Hopefully we actually get to see this figure soon. There is the Morphinaut figure also that I talked about in my little statements backing up Illuminati's article, because the Morphinaut figure was another one that I kind of heard a very similar situation to where it was a figure that was in development a while ago. It didn't really seem like it was moving very far along besides that, and that's all I can say on that front. And basically with that could have become Invisible Phantom Ranger. I'm not sure if there was always supposed to be a Morphinaut figure, which is the all-white version of Phantom Ranger from the Power Rangers Universe comic arc from Boom Studios. So I'm not sure if that was always going to be a separate figure, but then they made Invisible Phantom Ranger, which they haven't even officially commented on either. So it's one of those weird things to where there's a lot of stuff going on, that I don't really know anymore. It's kind of just a very weird thing. But shout out to Illuminati for being able to share that information. I was happy I was able to back it up and then add the little Morphinaut thing in there. Had to add a little piece of new information there for myself there as well. So that's of course going to lead us to when are we going to get our next event. I'm still keeping, an eye out on that March 14th date because of that power tease in the Entertainment Earth drop zone thing. We've already got the next Hasbro event, it's like stream thing announced, which was March 8th's G.I. Joe stream next week, which would leave the week of March 14th, or the week that has March 14th in it, opened for a Power Rangers event, possibly. So I would not be 100% ruling that out. We did get reveals in March a year ago, so it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility that we would get some reveals in the month of March. So of course, just stay tuned to Lightning Storm here, and of course Lightning Fig PR on Twitter, as we talk about all more leaks, events, all this kind of stuff, and a bunch of updates, because there's just a lot going around right now that I'm trying to keep all in one contained area. So that is that. And that is going to do it for this week's episode of Lightning Storm. Of course, until next time, I'd love to know your guys' thoughts about anything I talked about this week down in the comments below. Also, be sure to check out my first episode of Lightning Storm's special report that I released last weekend, which was my really exciting interview that I got to do with series illustrator Tom Whalen, who worked on the Lightning Collection box art from 2019 through 2022. So if you've not checked that out, it will be in the end card at the end of this video, and be sure to check it out because I thought that was a lot of fun. I'm very, very happy with how that video turned out. And I want to make sure that you guys know that it's out there on the channel right now. And of course, until next time, you guys can follow me on Twitter at LivingRangerKey or LightningFigPR. And I'll see you all in Lightning Storm. This is your lightning always strikes twice. To wrap up this video, I'd like to thank my $5 and above patrons: Jurassic Samurai, Maggot Alchemist, Robert Browning, Static Thunder, Brendan Overland, Maji Yellow, Redstone MCPC, Comics 1017, James Darty, Monster Rocket, John Luke, Eric Berry, Tyler Brzezinski, Matthew Thorne, Josh Landry, Paramidas, and CPT Tesla. You can support Toku Topics for as little as $1 a month on my Patreon, link in the description below.